early this morning, huh? Not playing on these cornered streets. I see you. I see you. Good morning. Good morning. I love you all so dearly. I really do. I really, really do. Good morning, Winnie Love. Good morning. You guys are hilarious. I'm going to let my guests in and we're going to go from here, all right? Because we have a big show today. Big show. All right, all right, all right. Woo. Welcome to Mornings with Marvel, where authenticity lives and thrives to create a space of growth, healing, and joy. I am your host, Andrea Lawful Sanders, and each day we will cover the topics that are informative and engaging while learning from each other. My God, on today they are on here. The amount of good one. Usually when I start the show, it takes about 3 to 4 minutes before people start popping on. Oh, they were waiting. Good morning, my darlings. Good morning. So good to see all of you here. I am excited. I was excited this morning. And so I woke up at 3 o'clock. I did my little motivation and stuff. And I said, I'm going to work out. So I was in here jamming and working out. Someone says my listening ears are on. I know you guys already. Good morning, Essence, all of you. I'm excited. Let me start the show though, because Joel, my brother Joel, he made sure he was up. And so I am grateful to you because I know I am an early morning person. Not everybody is, right? So let me just go ahead and start this conversation. Joel Wilson is the founding member and president of IBB Investment Group, LLC, a diverse group of progressive and business-minded African Americans, of which I am one, who work together on various investment strategies to ultimately pour wealth into the Black community in Philadelphia. He's joining us to talk about our first real estate syndication deal. Good morning, Joel. Thank you for joining us. As always, it's early in the morning. Is this the apartment?
Yes, good morning. Great to see you this beautiful morning. Prayerfully, it's beautiful outside. But
Well,
yes, this
listen,
is
it's
the
beautiful in our hearts.
apartment
How about
complex.
that?
So we've well, let me first start and just define real estate syndication. Not that I'm an expert, but the working definition that I've come to understand and what we have entered in as an investment group. So a real estate syndication deal is when a group of investors. You have a general a general partner, and they're in control of all the paperwork, basically, all the paperwork, the due diligence, and those type of things. And they locate a large real estate project. You could think about if you were in the suburbs and you ride past one of those massive apartment complexes. They may have 300 units, something like that. A lot of grass, pools, all that kind of stuff. Well, real estate syndication, they will buy those type of large real estate establishments, and and then there's limited partners, which we're serving as a limited partner in the current deal we're involved in. And these are folks who are in a passive position, so they are providing financial resources. They may provide some expertise that they have. They do meet with the general partner so that they can provide suggestions and things like that. But it's a great way to buy very large real estate holdings, and you typically get really good tax advantage uh, advantages from
So,
it.
because we don't have much time, tell me,
Sure.
how did IB Big get involved in this apartment complex? Where is it located? What was the conversation around it? And how much money did we invest into this apartment complex?
Great. So some stuff I may hold off on answering exactly, but I will say is that I had a relationship with a well known politician in the city who's no longer a politician. He transitioned into real estate. And so he gave me a call and he said, "Hey, Joe, I know you have the investment club. Would you be interested in this real estate syndication deal?" And it just so happened that we had looked at two other ones. So I was familiar with
Mhm.
those type deals. And so I said, "Yes, send me the paperwork." So we got the paperwork in and we vetted it. Now, where it's located is actually very close to Temple University. It's just a
Mhm.
couple blocks away, 106 unit apartment complex. Um, it houses primarily Temple students, although now in the reconfiguration, about 10% can be non-Temple students. And it's really a great place for someone who's, if you're going to Temple, excellent. If you're starting out, like you may have the 19, 20-year old who's moving out for the first time. So the apartments are not like overly massive. They won't have so much they have to be cleaning and trying to straighten up. It's like a nice, good fit, and they'll get independence. It's a nice building. All of the utilities are first rate. We did a vetting process of ourselves. We went to the building, visited, kicked the tires, looked over the financials. The financials were just great. We have our own internal vetting team,
Mhm.
and everyone on the team was on board. Like it got an
Mhm.
A+ from everybody. And this is the first time when we've looked at deals in which everybody
Mhm.
really liked the deal.
So, okay, so we did the vetting
So
process.
we yeah, so we invested totally $52,000.
We invested that much.
Mhm.
I missed all of that because I had so much going on. Is it too late for me to jump in?
Uh,
Oh my goodness! Don't talk. Don't say that. Don't. We're good. We're good. Because I saw it bouncing back and forth, and we were up to $15,000. So this must be a really good investment for people to jump in and say, we'll put in X amount of dollars to get this done, right? Um,
all the heavy hitters were jumping in, and
okay,
I even got a call. I think the largest single partner contribution was 10 grand.
it was 10 grand. Yeah, yeah.
And we had folks as low as $100. So we have a nice spread, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a great thing about investment clubs. Everyone doesn't have to come with the exact same amount.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a bunch of ants eating an elephant. We're all
Mm-hmm.
taking our bites and we're getting it
Everybody
done.
taking a bite. Everybody taking a bite. Joseph says, Joel, what is your expected return on your real estate investment?
Great question. So this deal actually has two parts. So the first part, it's a 12 year 12
12
month
months?
note.
Mm-hmm.
12-month note. We're going to get a 15% return on that. Now, once we hit that, we have an option. We can just take the money and go our merry way, or we can stay in for the long haul and convert to equity.
Okay.
And so we'll make that decision at,
When the time
the
comes.
10, 11, 12-month mark.
Okay. Okay. All right. And is the apartment already in use? Is people
Yes,
already in the? Okay. Good.
it
Okay.
is in use. The apartment was
Okay.
actually, it was in bankruptcy.
Okay.
COVID caused it to happen because the majority of the students were international students. So if you can remember, they stopped allowing people coming in the country, so
Mm-hmm.
it took a real hit. And the
Oh.
company that's serving as uh, the general partner, they were brought in during bankruptcy to
Mm-hmm.
manage it. And so while managing it, they were able to step up to say, "Hey, we want to purchase it."
Mm-hmm.
And so in that time period, they
And you
took
don't
it
want
from
to name that person yet, correct? You don't want to name
no,
that
not
person?
yet,
Yeah.
not
Okay,
yet.
cool. Because I think everybody knows this person and this group. So I'm glad that you're
Maybe, could be. If you're good with Google, you may figure it out.
yeah.
And that's on
Yeah.
you.
And that's
But
fine. That's fine. I'm
yeah,
not asking you, I'm not forcing you to name the person, but it's someone we know and respect in the community. And we, in this investment group, when I tell you, we kick every tire. What are your
Yeah.
financials? How many times, we ask all the questions. And I'm saying we, because Joel asked me to join this group in 2020, and I've been happily just doing, because we watched it grow. And I did it. I joined IB Big in 2020 because so many people were calling the radio station saying there was nowhere to build black wealth. Oh, they took me to task, up, down, left, right, and center. I said, okay. I said, but if someone said, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, do it with others. And so when Joel brought it to me, and I looked at it, and then I began, I started my own self. Lord have mercy. Let me tell you, this is one of the top 10 black investments groups in the country now. When I
Yeah.
joined, the one none of that was going on. It was a prayer and a faith, and it was okay. Let's talk about this. Let's see. And then I began telling people about it, and people began. It was me. I think it's Audra's husband. He's the other one that brings in
Yeah. Uche.
the
Yeah.
Uche, brings in as so many people, because black folks started to realize, if you are dropping in $50 a month, $100 a month, $200 a month is the maximum that you can put into this thing, unless there's a special investment opportunity like he's talking about. Um,
Couple
the
highlights. Couple
huh?
highlights I want to share. So
Sure.
we actually have partners in 8 states now,
8
8 different
states.
states,
I know some of my
and
families joined in several states. Yes.
correct. And we should be having soon our first partner from the Virgin Islands.
Oh
So
wow.
that should happen before
hmm
July.
hmm
And as a portfolio value, and this may be the last time I'm going to say this publicly because
Yeah.
we're just in waters.
Cause the people crazy.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm excited. We hit the half million.
Yeah, we hit half million. Yeah. 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 And when I joined, where were we? 100,000.
We might have been 200,000.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Marcella said, I love the collaboration and collective spin. We have to do more of this, which is why he keeps coming on, which is why we keep talking about this. Essence says, good morning. This is where I struggle. How can investor earns great a return on investment without making rents unaffordable to individuals? Rents are out of control in Philly. I so struggle with this as a developer myself.
So I actually have an answer I would like to discuss. It may be too long for this show right now, but with a developer, because I actually came up and I wrote a plan of how investment clubs can do affordable housing, like 99% without need of government intervention. Like you don't,
Mm-hmm.
we could totally do it ourselves, but I don't. It's kind of long and wordy, and we would need back and forth. I would love to talk to that person. If you could connect us,
Oh, sure.
Andrea,
Okay,
and
I
we
will.
could
It's
talk further.
Essence. All right, Essence. I'll connect the both of you. I think she's talking about, unaffordable rent for individual people. Rent is
You
really
can you
high.
can control it. Again, I have a plan you can control, and not only could you control it, the key one of the key things when you buy a property, a house to live in, is you're building equity.
Mm-hmm.
There's a model in which an investment club can be the owner of the property, and then you as a partner in the investment club can live in it, get discounted rent, and be building equity from day one because you're
Because you are part
investing in the
owner
investment club.
of the
Right, right.
Shekoromo Shandalama Glory. Yes, Joel. Neuro spicy. I like that. I like that. And that's how we have to think. Essence says, good morning, Bridget Powell. Essence says, congratulations. I'm very proud of the investment group. I just hope as investors we think of the renters as well. Congratulations. I think we're there. And I'm sure, again, I was not privy. I was not in some of these meetings because I had other things going on. My father, all sorts of things were happening at the time. So I had to kind of step off to the side, but I was watching from the sidelines what was happening. I'm sure there are several investors in that group that says, now, we got to be responsible for the people who are going to be in it, because we talk like that. We ask the questions because we're black people at the end of the day, and we want to make sure that we're not taking advantage of people or being taken advantage of. Does that make sense?
Right. And it, this is something we definitely talked about,
Mhm.
and I will say there is a balance here. There is a market rent for that area.
Mm-hmm.
and there is a rent that's needed to make the investment stable and worthy, and we
Mm-hmm.
can get the return.
Mm-hmm.
If the 15% payout is a promise, and
Mm-hmm.
the promise is, if these things work financially, then you're going to get it. But if they don't work financially, you're not going to get it.
And
So
it's a
we don't
risk,
want to try
right?
to, excuse me.
It's always a risk.
Yes. So we're not trying to handicap the general partner from doing the job. We are
Mm-hmm.
making some what we think are good, credible, fair suggestions,
Mm-hmm.
but it's their thing to manage. We did have one thing. There may one thing we advocated for, in which I don't want to go into too much detail, but there will be different promos and stuff that are available to some of the students. And one other thing that's pretty good, if you think about community college is not a residential
Mm-hmm.
college. However, they have folks that go there that do want to move out of their mom's and dad's house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so this location, although it's near Temple, it's not too far from community. It's still just a subway ride away.
Mm-hmm.
They would be able to move in this place as well.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Sounds good to me. Tell
Yeah.
people a little bit, because again, we don't have much time. Tell little people about this, the investment club. And while he's getting ready to do that, please remember to like and subscribe to the show. The people fuss at me all the time. I can hear Joanne Bell in my ear. I can hear my husband in my ear. Please just like and subscribe to the show. I'm so busy giving you great content that sometimes I forget that part. How did the investment club start? How many investors do you have inside of it? Is it just for Black people? I need you to go into all of that for folks. And why is it just for Black people?
Okay, so we currently have 55 partners in the club. And that number is important to watch, because by law, an investment club can have a max of 100 partners. So you can't have like thousands of folks just in a single investment
Mhm,
club.
mhm,
So I'll leave that there. Um, so far as what the sort of the cost to join for a regular adult, it's $300 to join.
mhm,
Your monthly contribution is between 50 and 200. If you happen to be a senior, it's
mhm,
$200 to join, and your monthly contribution is as low as $25 a month,
mhm,
25 to 200 a month. And if you are a what we call a young professionals 18 to
mhm,
26, or a minor, you can join for 150, and you can monthly contribution can be as low as $25
mhm,
a month. So that's our basic framework
mhm.
to get in. Our website is ibbig.net, ibbig.net. And I also want to encourage you to like and share um, the A
Mhm.
Lawful Truth podcast. This is
Thank you.
just a wonderful platform, and you should be plugged in.
Thank you. Thank you.
Facebook. Be plugged in.
The majority of us are entrepreneurs, business owners.
Not the
Um,
majority, like a
no,
third.
only a
Yeah, like a
third.
yeah, it's like a
I
third.
feel like I feel like the a good group of us are entrepreneurs in this group.
Yeah, the entrepreneurs probably speak up
The
more.
most. Speak up the most.
Yeah.
Darisha, State Rep Darisha Parker says, "Thanks. Is there a website?" So she did see the website, or how can we get involved?
So the website is ibbig.net. We have an email list. That's probably the easiest first step.
Mm-hmm.
Join.ibbig.net. I'm trying to drop it in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I'm going to try to drop that real
Okay.
quick. Join.
Essence says it was a great introductory meeting, and I look forward to you all following up with me. There is a person that deals with the people that come in, so we're good. I'm
Okay,
grateful.
beautiful.
Essence, we'll see you soon. I want to read this comment. Joseph Simmons says, "I'm telling you that." Real estate. He said, I did very well in the low income affordable housing space. I started in 1988 at 19 and retired from it in 2021. Real estate builds equity and ensures generational wealth. Good luck to IB Big. Right. So as you're dropping your $25 or $50 a month or $100 a month, the partners are pulling together and figuring out as a group, Everybody has a say, which is why they make sure it's not just one person can't just dump $5,000 a month in there and say, I have the largest share in there. They want to make sure everybody that's a part of the group, whether you donate $25 or $200 a month, everybody has equal say. And it's by, we vote. So
Right.
let's say somebody comes in and says, I want you to invest in X, Y, and Z. And as partners, we start asking the questions and we start Googling and we're going, no, we need some more financials. We need some more, that kind of stuff. But also in that group, you're able to borrow without having to go to the bank at a much lower interest rate.
Yeah.
So, there's something beneficial to all of this for people. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that. Anything else you want
Uh,
to add?
yeah. One last thing I want to share. So I'm working with through my nonprofit Tech Core 2. I'm working with another nonprofit, the Business Center, and partnering with Ivy Big. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to try to launch our first youth investment club this summer,
Mm-hmm.
and the pilot are going to be the students who are in the Tech Core 2 summer program, because we do
Mm-hmm.
a joint thing with the
Mm-hmm.
business center.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, we're going to kick this off and see. I've actually wrote a framework for it for some time ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to do it with young adults. So there is an interest. Whenever we talk to young kids, they're like, "Hey, we're interested." So we say, "You know what?
Mm-hmm.
Let's try to pilot it this summer." So we'll
Mm-hmm.
see how it goes. And one of my test case for it is one of my young men who, I hate to say it, but he is locked up right now.
Wow.
Um, from 2015, he was a mentee, but very challenged life.
Mm-hmm.
He started sending me money from jail last year. I lie to you not. He sends it via Cash App. And he asked me, Mr. Joel, you keep telling me about this investment. Will you invest the money if I send it to you? I said, no problem. I had an account that was open that I wasn't using. I think I had like $50 in it. I said, I'll just do that. This young man got over $1,000 right now in his investment account.
And they say we can't do it. And they say we cannot do it. It's insane.
Yeah.
Is it that we don't see uh is it because we're watching too much television, too much that we think we're supposed to invest and become millionaires overnight? Is it that we can't see, or do we believe that we shouldn't trust being in a part of a group, even though the group has every check and balance in place and has been vetted, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, accountant, all of it, right? Um,
Well, most
what
people
is it?
haven't
What is
seen
it
a
with
group.
us?
Most people haven't seen a group like ours, so they don't believe it
Yeah.
exists. That's one thing. And the major exposure for a lot of black folks, and listen, when I talk to adults, like I was in Malcolm X Park last week
Mhm.
talking to retired men, and they were like, every time I tried to do an investment, it was a scam. So this is a real issue we have in our
Mhm.
community. So folks do want to do it, and that's why it's important for groups like ours that are legitimate, have the transparency,
Mhm.
following all the rules, are starting to come to the forefront to provide the education and direction. And here's a mind shift that folks have to have. A lot of us are so used to going to some type of power structure and asking and begging. And it's
Mhm.
hard for a lot of people to understand that no, when you're in the investment club, you are the power structure.
You are.
You make the decisions.
Yes. Yeah. Bridget says, how do we join this investment group? Not easily. One of the members, and I say that tongue in cheek, one of the members have to vouch for you. And then there's a process that you have to go through, right? So, and it's not difficult, but we want to make sure that you're reading, that you're asking the thoughtful questions around Black folks, because we come with a lot of trauma, a lot of trauma. So there's a work that needs to be done. So who does she send the interest email to,
So
Joel?
I just dropped in the chat, joined at
Join.
ibbig.net. You can fill
Okay.
it out because we'll get all your initial info,
Mhm.
and then we can follow the process so you can get a guest invite. And
Okay.
you know, Andrea has served as a referral for a lot of folks. So
Some folks I ain't never heard of. I'm like, Joel, I don't know who that is. And I can't put my name behind somebody that I don't know. But I've had some radio listeners who I know. I've been around them, spent time with them. They wanted to put their 25 or 50 or $100 in, and they joined. And I
Right.
know they're looking going, dee dang.
So
We're
I'll
making
say this,
money.
Andrea, you won't be the only radio personality in the investment club shortly. We got another
What?
one coming in.
What? What? I can't miss the meeting next month. I need to find out who that is because I am so excited. Alexandra says, "What is the age range to be considered a senior?"
65 and older.
65 and over. The
Yeah.
email is there. He put it here, Marcella. Look up. It says join.ibbig.net. He put it here. Let me put it here for you. Join.ibbig.net. Right? And let me tell you something, Joel. I am grateful that you chose this voice and platform to start promoting this as early as 2020, because when you came to me I was like, what is this thing? But we've been putting exposure around it. How do we get, because black folks need to understand that they can build generational wealth. You have to be
Absolutely.
patient. You have to be willing to sit in, and don't just join. Well, first of all, you can't join and not show up to the meetings, right? So you're allowed to miss only a certain amount of meetings a year. When you get into the meetings and get the hook and the meat of that thing, you sitting there going, ooh. Sometimes my husband's listening, going, "Ooh." it's
And,
a,
and, and
it's good.
Andrea, a lot of people, it's a great time to listen and learn. Like, remember, we went over Eli Lilly? So
Yeah,
we invested in Eli
yeah.
Lilly as a group, but guess what? You can turn and invest in your own account.
Come on, come on. Yeah, we did have a whole conversation about Eli Lilly.
Right.
Yes,
Right. You
yes,
dump your own
yes.
money. When we went over AMSL, I have to admit, I never heard of AMSL until
Mhm,
our meeting. That was
mhm,
phenomenal. They
mhm.
have an 80% market share of the equipment that makes the chips that NVIDIA and Intel and AMD
Yeah,
needs.
yeah,
They have 80% of the market share.
yeah,
Global.
yeah, yeah. It works. It absolutely works. Now listen here. I'm waiting for a state senator Street to jump in. Um who Lord. Tell folks how they can find you one more time, and if they need to call you or have any questions, what is the phone number if you have them?
So we don't really have a phone number. The email, hit us on the email.
Mm-hmm,
I'm president at ibbig.net.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
For membership, the direct email is membership at ibbig.net. Our website is
mm-hmm,
ibbig.net. We're on Facebook. You can see us on Instagram. I'm actually speaking on the 30th at the Philadelphia Ethical Society, National Coalition of 100 Black Women. They've invited me to speak there
oh
at an
good.
event, and you can see that information on Instagram and Facebook.
Mm-hmm,
And yes, get with us. We're building this engine, and I'll tell you the future goal to transform Black Philly, to transform Black Philly, we should own and manage at least $100 million, and we have the capacity to do it. We've been um, we haven't had the right priority, and we've
mm-hmm,
been disorganized in our money.
mm-hmm,
And if you don't
mm-hmm,
believe we can do it, you could look at the success that the 1036 plan. Right now,
mm-hmm,
collectively, they probably have over $100 million in assets. Throwing Progress Plaza, Haddington Plaza, Leon Sullivan Trust, other real estate they have. So it can be done. And
mm-hmm.
we should do it. Like we should have, because with that, once when you have $100 million in a fund, you're self-generating $10 million a
Income.
year.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
think about all the things we need. Like we could just do so much, and you create whole industries off of that money.
Mhm, mhm,
And we need to be in that top position, making rules and not having to keep
mhm.
ask. I mean, if you're a black nonprofit, at some point you had to ask Pew. Well, what
Yeah.
about us building something up where we can now be asking ourselves?
Yes. Joseph, the investment club is only 6 years old. She's 7, maybe.
7 7 years.
He's 7. Joel is IB big, looking at purchasing any of the 17 schools that are being closed in Philadelphia. We're not that big yet,
That is a great idea.
but
No,
it is a
don't
great
tell us.
idea.
That's a
And
good
some of these buildings that
idea.
the city was selling for $1 for God knows how many years ago, that we could have been investing in and cleaning up and turning them into housing. This is how we're going to be able to do a lot of these things, but we got to get it going. All right, my brother. Thank you. This was good. This is
Thank you.
good.
Appreciate
This
it.
is good. Um uh oh, he was like, bye. He was like, bye, let's go. All right, before I move on, I want to say happy birthday to my father-in-law, my husband's father. His name is John Bell. He is almost 90 years old, and today is his birthday. And so, happy birthday to you. My husband and I went to see them yesterday to drop off his cake and his creamsicle ice cream and his card and some pictures and stuff. You know, when you have your parents that are still here with you, you really want to make sure you give them the love and support and let them know that they're okay. And they're still driving and getting that they're still driving and getting around. Marguerite says Joel got out the way real quick, didn't he? Good morning, Lily. Now listen, it is now 7:03. State Senator Sharif Street was supposed to be in this waiting room at 7 o'clock. We went through his communication team. We confirmed that was Teresa Lundy. We put it on the calendar. She confirmed it, said we are in. So I'm going to give him a few more minutes and see what happens. But baby, we got to see. Essence says now that's a show. The land bank, absolutely, absolutely. Erica says thank you, Joel. Thank you. Alexandra says, have you watched the documentary on PBS about W.E.B. Du Bois? You know, there's a lot going on uh, in our country right now. I am slated to have District Attorney Larry Krasner on at 8 o'clock, and I believe me when I tell you, he'll be here. So we're going to have that dialogue. Let me see if I can find. This is crazy. These people. Oh, Viola said yesterday I clocked 341,000 miles. She said I need David's face right now. David, wait. Whoo, child, this is absolutely insane. And I'm telling you, um, this time we went through his proper channels. I said to Teresa Lundy when I was talking to her, I said, if he doesn't prevail in the elections, does he still want to come on? She said yes. He wants to give you an opportunity so he can talk to you. Um, and So far it's 7:05. Let's see. Let's see. Marguerite says you gave Mr. Street all the opportunity. There's nothing else you can do. You're absolutely correct. Um, uh, Ciao. Ciao. Alexandra says, now who's the. Yep. Alexandra says, now who's to blame now? Oh, that's Lundy's on point. So it's not her. She says, Teresa Lundy is on point. So it's not her. Somebody said, where is David? Oh, Lord. You all really want to put David, where are you? Whoo, child. David just texted and said, I'll be there in 4 minutes. This is going to be fun. Oh my goodness. Listen, Marguerite, I have done. Angela Jones. Yep. Yep. We have been um uh we've been having this dialogue. We have talked about this. We've gone over this. We have asked all the questions. When he did not show the first time, my phone did not stop ringing. Like, okay, we got to figure this out. I had somebody call my daughter to ask my daughter if it would be okay for him to come on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we've gone above and beyond. I don't know what the excuse is going to be today. I just don't know. It's first of all, he's late. So it's 7:06, right? And I'm willing to continue to extend the grace. I don't know. I don't know what is going on here. Let me, but I tell you what, we're done trying. We are. Ah, Lord have mercy. Too funny. Um, Teresa went to school with our mutual child. Okay. Eloise, you're welcome. Eloise says, thank you for your patience. Listen, I didn't want anybody to say, Teresa said the show must go on. Wow. I didn't want anybody to say that I was unfair. And because, people are like, well, blah, 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 blah. We tried everything. I'm sure David will pop in here at some point. And Sharon says, Joseph says, again, economics over politics. Sharon says, you have your answer. I do. I do. So that's it. Purchase Paul Robeson is sitting on prime land. Yes. What? You know what? So I had a conversation, Bridget. I'm glad you said that. I had a conversation with someone from the school district who said Paul Robeson is going to be rebuilt in conjunction with one of the universities. So that's a space that while they're closing it, they're going to reopen it as a different, on there. Uh Someone says, who the heck is this? Um Yvette says, why does Mr. Street need to be late? You can do no more. Listen, Laura says it's time to read the room, Marva. You gave him a shot and he's showing us who he is. All right. Sharon says, we already know you are fair. Mr. Rabb is coming on next week. Congressman-elect Rabb will be on next week. His people are on it. Thank you so much. Tamara says, you were very neutral and kept giving Grace and the benefit of the doubt. I'm grateful for that, and this does not look good for him. Erica says, you absolutely went above and beyond. This is ridiculous. Yeah. I think the challenge for many people is that they don't believe that this platform, they have no idea. They have no idea how valuable this platform is and has been and will continue to be. So I don't know. Well, there's David. Winnie says, Pastor. I can't even. David, the man did not show again. I specifically said, whether he wins this election or not, are you sure you want to do this?
What did I say?
And I wonder if they think they're harming me. They're not harming me. Not even a little bit.
I said, when people show you who they are, believe them.
This is crazy.
I said, which was directly quoted from our friend, Mother Angelo. But what I said was, he didn't come. That was a choice. I wanted you to hear that as a choice. And the moving around of, oh, I'm whatever, was about, I'm campaigning. Because if you wanted to be here, you would have been here. You would have woken up at dark o'clock in the morning, and you would have come and said what you had to say.
Yes. I'm being asked if I reconfirm with Teresa. Yes. Yes. Yes, I did.
I saw it was up as I was in my, ladies and gentlemen, I was in my pajamas.
Marguerite says, whether he believed the powerfulness of your platform or not, it's just rude not to show up or gracefully cancel through his people. Andrea says, platform aside, this is a room full of constituents that he continues to undervalue and disrespect. The arrogance is much. And this group, let me tell you something. One of the things, one of the things that State Rep Rabb said to me publicly, openly, was that this platform had some value, gave him the space to have the dialogue to speak. After I interviewed him the first time, the folks started changing because there were so many undecideds. They firmly believed that his being here helped him to get over the top. This platform that is so undervalued helped him to get over the top.
Listen,
Bridget, I
I
don't know where Street is today. There's no election going on. Alexandra says it's not Teresa, right? I don't know. Eloise, listen, Eloise, let me tell you something. The people were calling. What do we do? How do same thing for Dr. Ayla Stanford until the whole thing happened where she didn't go to WHYY. This platform helped her immensely because people she was winning the mail-in ballots. She was right. She had done very well. Um, Laura says when you first announced he was coming on after the election, I knew he was not going to show up because it made no sense. Arrogance on steroids. I don't listen.
so again I say, um, and it is Friday, and Devin Awards show is beginning, and and even as the rain falls, Jesus is still Lord. So that is where we are. I do want to say, because I think that sometimes people think I'm critical or not critical of particular politicians. I am not. I am an equal opportunist. If you piss me off, I'm gonna tell you so. If you make me happy and joyful, I'm gonna tell you so. I may text you in the morning and say bravo. I may text you later that night and say how dare you. So I want to take the time to say that I really appreciated the way that Sherelle Parker dealt with the hecklers last night. I
What
did not
hecklers?
appreciate. So she was at a town hall meeting,
Mm-hmm.
trying to produce the town hall. And as people do, they come with their signs and they get up with their signs and they
Mm-hmm.
say, this, da, da, da. And what she said was, this is the birthplace of democracy and you have the right to have your opinions heard. And so this is how the country was founded, by people standing up and doing just like that.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, the security team that was working with the administration or with the room, and I don't mean that they were working necessarily with the administration, did
Mm-hmm.
not feel the same way. And they were plucking people out of the audiences who were doing that. So I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to, one, acknowledge and congratulate. And congratulate is the wrong word. This is something that politicians do, but acknowledge and celebrate the democracy and the understanding of how our democracy works. If you're in London, you're likely to have lettuce thrown at you if you say something which people don't like. And people will heckle you while you're on the floor of the House, or the of the House of Lords, of the House of Commons. They'll heckle you out loud or just say things. Don't move your arm, whatever it is. Here, we have people who come with signs and who come with passion, who comes with any other. And so it is hard to be heckled. I have been heckled. I know what that's like. It's hard, but at the same time, it's really important that we understand the nature of this thing called democracy and how it was built.
Mm-hmm.
So, bravo for how that was dealt with from
Mm-hmm.
the mayor and the executive branch's side. And now a conversation about how security deals with that,
Okay.
because you can't have the mayor saying this is democracy and security pulling
Mm-hmm.
people out at the same time. So that
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so far as the race went and where people are today, I think Dr. Ayla Stanward is taking the much necessary and needed space
Mm-hmm.
to regroup and figure out where her next steps will be.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I suggest that the Democratic Committee look at
Mm-hmm.
her for the executive branch of federal government in the medical arena. I think she did the most fantastic job of proving that she was ready to be the Surgeon General of the United States
Mm-hmm.
of America, no matter who the president is, particularly, however, when we
Mm-hmm.
have a president who is Democratic and or progressive.
Mm-hmm.
That is something which should be lined up now. These are conversations which should be had today. And I
Mm-hmm.
really do think, and I expressed this to her, that Congress would have been a pause in the road to that journey. I don't know that you can be as political as you need to be in Congress and then serve the country as its Surgeon General. I think you need to appear slightly less politically involved or leaning when you're leading that type of
Mm-hmm.
office. And so I think this blessing is that I think she will end up as Surgeon General of the United States of America. I'm going to claim it now. I'm going to say it right here, as I told her on the phone when I explained to her where I was in the positioning of her race. Um, I think that Chris is also taking the amount of time he needs to galvanize and get ready to now walk into a different room. Different conversations are being had. People who were not necessarily supportive of the work that he has
Yeah.
been doing for a very long time are finding themselves having to give him a call and say, we got to work together. And luckily, Chris is the type of person who wants to work with
Mhm.
them. So I think that that's
Mhm.
fantastic. I want to congratulate Ilan on running a fantastic campaign that understood the voice
Listen,
of people. Okay, somebody
Elon
who
said, I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning and there was a text from Elon that says, when do you want him to come on? Let me know. His communication team has been phenomenal,
and it
phenomenal.
shows, and
And
it
it
shows.
shows. So I sent him a text and I told him exactly when I want him to come on next week, and I'm sure I will get the email later on this morning from the communications team about date, time, etc., etc. And so we'll have Rab on. Now, what is he, Congressman elect? Or is he still state?
Congressman,
He's still state rep. Chris Rab, soon to be
he is.
Congressman elect.
He is still state rep Chris Rab. We do have to have a general election, although it doesn't matter much in the bluest place of the bluest of Americas because we know what happens. We think.
Mhm,
And I
mhm,
want to be sure that we understand we think. There's still work to
mhm,
be done. Yes, this has been selected from us. The
mhm,
primaries work this way. The general
mhm,
election usually chooses the golden child of primary. Fine.
mhm,
Runs the
mhm.
Democratic ticket.
Listen, when
So,
I tell you this show goes on, look, we got State Rep Darisha Parker.
ah, good morning. Another congratulations to another friend who won. Come on, friend.
When I tell you this is a live broadcast, y'all. When I
I,
say live, I
I
do
love
mean
y'all.
live.
So
We love
listen,
you here.
I can honestly say, um, for me, in many ways, Tuesday, I don't take anything for granted because I won. Okay.
Mhm,
But it's because I look at the numbers. So May 20th is how me and my group have already refocused and tell everybody, please forgive me. I'm fighting with allergies, but I am going to see my black doctor in my district of Nicetown, Dr. Wardlaw. Hello, who's gonna get me right.
mhm.
Anyway, I just need everybody to hear me and hear me clear. That
Wait, hold on. Let me address Amber Harris. You are
sure,
correct,
baby.
Amber. He's the Democratic nominee. Technically, that's the correct title. Thank you, my sister. I really appreciate your saying that. Thank you. Because
Yes,
we want to get it. Yeah. Okay.
yes.
Go
So
ahead.
one of the things that everyone knows, I keep it 100. I do not bash. I don't do negative. I think
Mhm,
at my age, I'm very concerned about my health and
mhm,
well-being. I
mhm,
don't believe in getting myself a heart attack, a stroke, and dying over this world of politics.
mhm,
But I will also say that by when people, because the two things that you two have always talked about is during these times why politicians inundate you
mhm,
with asking to donate and give. It's a
mhm,
lot of money and assessments that we have to currently pay as incumbents. But
mhm.
one of the things that I have noticed before I was elected and up until now, we haven't received anything in the mail talking about there was an election.
Why was that?
Um,
We have a whole Democratic committee
mhm,
at the state and local level. Let's just talk about it the local level, where your constituents are. We
mhm,
where were the flyers? Where were the robocalls? Where were the
mhm,
people knocking on the door? How much
Well,
mhm.
money are you supposed to? And I'm not talking about Chris Rabb's people because they were everywhere.
and A-list people, I want to give credit there
Yes,
because
and
I
ALS
did
people.
hear
Yes.
from people
So
who
can
actually
we say
annoyed that their mailboxes were full of Ayla stuff forever.
right? So when you say everywhere, we all now have the map
Okay.
and we see where the votes came from. So
Mm-hmm.
even when you say everywhere, the percentage as far as people voting was only 21%.
Mm-hmm.
So it
There was
doesn't
a
matter. It doesn't even matter if you're everywhere. If the outcome is still the same, that's a definition of
But
insanity.
whose responsibility is that for the outcome? Because I was told that it
Mhm.
was the ward leaders and the block captains, that they had a whole system set up, and the ward leaders and the block captains were going to make sure that the people came out to vote. And
well, I can tell you the end of the polls said that places that people felt safe in, right?
Mhm.
So there are many places in the city where Sharif felt he was safe. It was a shoe, it was a golden ticket. Those
Mhm.
people didn't come out because they felt safe. They felt we don't need to vote. This is already decided. The Democratic machine has made decision. They didn't go out. And also, older population did not go outside in 100-degree weather to go down the street for something they thought was a shoe-in and safe anyway, right? The people who felt the most threatened, felt perhaps their voices weren't going to be heard. They were the ones that went to the poll to make sure their voices were heard. Often they voted RAB, right? Ayla did really well with the mail-in people because of the mailers that she sent out over and over and over, go to the neighborhoods actually that she didn't know she was going to win. The members that she thought she was
So
safe
stop
in,
there,
she did
David.
not poll well.
David,
Yeah.
stop there.
hmm
And Andrea knows, and you haven't met him. My brother is the political guru, outstanding. He does the whole analysis and breakdown. I'm just the realist. The main thing that you said that concerns me the most when people say safe.
hmm
Safe does not equate into vote. So
That's right.
I think to Andrea, and your point is, it was best said recently at the interfaith breakfast by Reverend Jamal Bryant, and I've shared this with you, Andrea. It's the process of registering people to vote and making sure that they actually vote, and then taking them to the polls. So it's literally a three-prong effect of the process of voting. And what is happening is the conditions tell the story. So people, to the point, are angry. Let's be clear. They don't like Rep Parker. Not me, the person. They don't like the process and the institution that I'm a part of. So what does that also mean is people are saying, I'm tired, if I call you, you don't respond. Not me. I'm tired of calling individuals and they do this. I still have this car on my block. My school is closing. Taxes are like, people are sharing, telling you right now that they're so angry at everything. They still haven't gotten over 2024. So I'm gonna sit this one out because such and such is not I'm not making enough money. I gotta wait 4 jobs. I don't. It's not one of the complaints that I have is it's harder now to vote because it's not accessible to me. This is what the people are saying to me, and even when you say every 6 months there's a consequence. The woman told me, who says I'm gonna be here in 6 months. So I mean, I just gotta go by the realness of my neighbors, the realness of my constituents. And to your point, Andrea, I decided to be a co-block captain. And by being a co-block captain, I'm getting a boots on the ground, real deal problems of a neighborhood. Doesn't matter what my title. I took an oath of office. So whether it's a state matter or a city matter or even a federal, I'm going to be involved because it's my job as a resident of the block. And I think if we just really just go back to that part for all three of us, who's responsible? I say everybody on that's listening to you right now. If you have a text message group, a Facebook group, and that's your only correspondence of seeing if somebody's voted, then we have failed. People now want the interaction on their blocks, in their houses.
But they always wanted it, Darisha.
Yeah.
It never changed.
But
Yeah,
it's not being
I'm
done.
gonna say
It's not being
bullshit
done.
because I think it's a great excuse, but I think people have also said quite plainly, no, we made a choice. And I think that
Okay.
we like to always say, and I think that we should never skip over that. They said that day,
hmm
because I walked to 23 polling places on
Okay.
that day. Place to place to place. What's going on? We made a choice. And part of the Sharif and the numbers that dropped for Sharif, and I want you to be clear about this. I want Sharif to understand this, was
hmm
he was 16 points ahead until the administration came out on the steps and in block endorsed him. He lost 16 points the very next day because they did it immediately after the 17 school closures was announced, immediately after the 1% tax was announced, immediately after people were pissed off with the administration. They all then endorsed a particular candidate at one time. And the people said, enough. So even when the people who said enough were not Ayla Stanford people or Chris Rabb people, they were 100% street people, they were tired of the mechanism, the machine, and they felt ignored.
And
So
why do we blame the people when they say you are not, I am not seeing results of the efforts of my vote. I come to you, I come to your office, I get
that's right.
absolute, I'm not talking about you, Darisha, because you're taking on your constituents and everybody else's constituents, and then they have the nerve to be mad at you because you're helping their constituents when they're sitting with an office filled with people not doing the work that they're supposed to do. You don't have to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let it
And
happen.
it does, and it's a different place because you're on that state.
Absolutely,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. And so we have to. When are we going to start to really hear the people versus picking up our bags of oranges and going home? Who do they think they are? We have to cut that shit. Let me
Well,
be
what
clear.
they said, and let me tell you, this was people who were ward leaders also
Okay.
said, we have been told that we have to vote for these people in these sheets.
Yep, I
Some
heard
of
that too.
them, some of them were blocking out when they talk to people, do not vote for this person. I
Yep,
know it's on my
I
sheet, but
experienced that.
we
Yes,
actually don't believe in what the machine has told us we have to do. So we're not voting this way, and we don't think you should
baby,
either. I
So
baby,
listened to it, right? And I
baby.
and I
that's not
asked
new,
why, and they
David.
said,
That's not
Mhm.
new. That's not
Right.
new.
But what I'm
Listen,
saying is
listen,
that what I'm
it's not
explaining is
new, but
that
it's not
that's
right.
a part of the voice that we keep saying, oh my God, well, no one get no. They knew it was election day.
Okay.
Some people said, I'm ignored. What since I'm ignored, I don't want to vote for these other people, but I'm certainly not going to vote for the person that I told you I don't want in the first place. And this
Okay.
idea that we as the Democratic Party just anoint people and then push them forward has got to stop, because what we keep seeing is, one, we saw it, the soft voice, the quiet whisper was people stop voting. The second
Mm-hmm.
part was the people began to become opposition parties. The third part was we began to actually go out and vote and elect the people that were in opposition to what the machine said it wanted,
Yes,
because people
Mm-hmm.
are tired of the machine.
machine.
Now, what you do, Darisha, which is really great, is you get out with your voice, you go out into the street, you open your mouth and say what you're going to say, and you're unapologetic about that. People like that, right?
Mhm.
And Chris Rapp has the same sort of unapologetic rhetoric, which is why people like that. What we're discovering is the machine keeps thinking it has the power to tell people what they will and will not do, and they keep failing. And they don't do the recognizance to say this is a bad time, or even, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, after the entire administration made this whatever and 60 points are lost, they should have said, let's regroup. Let's
Yeah.
not put out the next batch of on block. Instead, they doubled down and put a new batch of on block. Everybody's, this is what you will do. And people say, oh, this is a game.
Yeah.
So I heard that, and I think we have to respect that from the people who are saying, it's not that I didn't know it was voting day. It's not that I couldn't go out and vote. Not that I didn't get the mailer or the flyer or listen to the whatever else. It's that I was deciding I wasn't going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
So as we, all
So at
three of
what
us,
point, as a
go ahead.
party, and God bless you, because you were supposed to come on last week. So I'm grateful that you're on now in the middle of all
Okay.
of this.
Marguerite said, get here. I was like, okay, Marguerite. She reelected. She
It was
need to come
off.
on. I'm like, Marguerite,
Right,
come beat my face.
right.
Go
And
like
so
David.
at 8 o'clock this morning, Larry Krasner, District Attorney
Yes.
Larry Krasner, is going to come on. And
Okay.
a conversation I had yesterday was, if he doesn't say something, who's going to say something? Because
Mm-hmm.
he's saying what people have been thinking for God knows, that they've been saying it quietly, privately, the whole 9 yards. I posted this video, and I'm going to read some of the comments that the people gave.
Okay.
I was shocked by people were like, oh my God, this is terrible. This is terrible that the way that it is. And thank God he's done this. Laura says, I'm sick of the machine. I have become more progressive and independent. I will vote for a Democrat like Rep Parker because she's doing the work. And that's what's happening. People have been cherry picking and will continue to cherry pick. So while they're telling folks to vote straight down the ballot Democrat, that's no longer happening. So who in the Democratic Party, I hear things like, well, you shouldn't come against us because X, Y, and Z. Meanwhile, you're dying, not slowly, but a deep, painful death in these streets, because the votes even if only 10 people came out and voted, those 10 votes told you they're sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Mm-hmm. There's individuals, to your point. The two of you have said things that
No
I have
essence, you
done.
did not show up. Mm-mm.
The one of the things that I don't have to talk about publicly or privately or whatever. One of the things I have learned from ever since I've gotten elected is the Progressive Caucus. It is the most feistiest policy driven caucus of our House chamber. So people are asking in the chat, no, it's not open to the public. It is for members. Any member can have a caucus, meaning the fact that because I'm an elected official in our house, there is a progressive caucus. I can say from that caucus alone to what I see on Tuesday, to what I've heard years from Summer Lee, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense, and it's about time that more people embrace and learn. It's not a takeover. I am very nervous of what the R's are doing. I am very concerned how they have done everything in their power because they are extremely wealthy and well financed to have this division between progressives, Democrats, WFPs, every other group to make us against each other. We collectively have to be working together to make sure November happens. I am
Okay, okay.
concerned.
All right. Let me be the devil's advocate and push
Okay,
back like a mother.
okay.
It's cool that we can blame the Republicans for the division between us. But
Uh-huh.
when do we accept the responsibility that the division between us is the division between us? That there were people in this party that kept saying over and again, we're tired of this. The
So I
regular
Mhm.
shut up and vote. Shut up and
the
vote.
answer
What
is
what what
yeah.
is your option? It's either the
It's
Republicans or it's us. Shut up and
we
vote.
we
When do
have
we
this
accept
thing.
responsibility for our own failings, for the people that we're supposed to serve? Darisha, you're
It
one person. You out
Mhm.
here running yourself into the ground. Don't drop dead on us, my darling. Please
Nope.
don't. Because there is so much going on. Amber says, I really thought Senator Street was just running late and would eventually join because he would not show twice. It is now 7:30 and my flabber is gasted at this level of discourtesy.
So
Yeah,
I want to
carry
I
on.
will say this about the and this speaks to this, the lateness and whatever, it's whatever. What the Democratic Party historically does with its own people is speak above it. So you
Mhm,
get people who are college educated, Ivy League educated,
mhm,
brilliant people about the economy X, Y, and Z, who say here's the plan, and now we will take the people below us who perhaps don't understand it and do it. They implement it in language which is above the reading level. They implement it in ideas. Now, does it work often? Yes. When office, we see that the economy does better. These things, whatever. But no one wants to explain in layman's terms what's going on,
mhm,
and they want to speak over the heads of the constituent. Fine.
mhm,
What the Republican Party does is it gets down into the dirt and says
mhm,
3 or 4 words that sound good, and they don't even tell the constituent what their final plan is going to be. They just make sure the constituent is with them for the voting on a very simple plan. Then they come up later with how do we fix it? They get in power first. That is a game of masterful chess versus a game of checkers. And Democratic Party leadership wants to continuously play checkers because it says at the end of the day, morally, philanthropically, understanding this is what is best for us. When we talk about money, there is just as much, if not more money in the billionaires that sit in the Democratic policies, but that never gets talked about because we gatekeep the people who are the Wendy's of the world, the people who are the owners of these big companies of the world. We don't want to tell the small people that they're there with us. We want to use language that says we're anti X, Y, and Z. What
Mhm.
billionaire wants to come out and say, I'm putting my billions of dollars into the Democratic campaign when you tell me kill all the billionaires, right? I mean, there's all this kind of stuff. Now they still do it, but they're very quiet about it because it's a threat. It's anti-party message. We have to really deal with those truths. But I think
Mhm.
that the first thing is we have to get down to the level of the people. We have, particularly in Philadelphia, an
and we
oligarchy.
refuse.
We refuse to just get plain. And I'm somebody who doesn't speak plainly often, right? So I know it's easy for me to fall into a rhetoric of Ivy League conversation because I'm good, I'm comfortable. But I know if I go out to the corner of X, Y, and Z, I have to be able to speak to people who are on the corner of X, Y, and Z. We do that terribly, and then we don't listen to those people, and we say that's very nice, sugar, but here's the plan,
So
and
Yes.
when you're
that
talking
doesn't
about a
work.
plan and you're talking about getting down to the layman's term, you in order to know that you would have needed to know from 2024, hello, until now, what is the plan?
That's what
If
I'm
you
saying.
don't,
That's the point I'm
if
making,
you
Tricia, is that I
don't
think
have
that
a plan,
I
you
don't think
are
that people are
subject
asking you
to
for a
fail.
plan. That's what I'm saying. I don't. I think the truth is we're learning that the people who are now voting are uneducated people who don't understand or care about a bigger plan. And the
Mhm.
Democratic Party has always rested on the idea that the plan mattered first. The truth is winning office matters first to these people. They
Mhm.
care about the fact. So if all you need to say when you go outside is I'm working on making sure that you can eat and pay your rent.
Mhm.
Period. The end. Stop giving a 45-point plan that they cannot read or understand because it just loses the vote.
First of
Suddenly,
all, you ain't got a 45. There is no
that right.
45-minute
But I'm
plan
just saying,
in
like there's
party.
this Democratic machine wants to put out the big plan, the big picture. And by the way, if you went to a school for English or for mathematics, you understand it. Like, well, this is great. Economics, this is great. But if you didn't, if you read on the under sixth grade level that the
Mhm.
populace reads on, you have no idea what this is about. It is confusing to you. And then you hear the Republican message: "Make America Great Again."
That's it. One damn sentence that they just covered over and over. What are the Democrats doing? We keep
They're not
pointing at the
listening to the
Republicans. And
lowest
listen,
denominator.
No,
because there's so many people that
they listening
are
now.
uh, regurgitating.
They listening
Yes.
now. May
Yeah.
May what is today? May 22nd.
It's
Well, and they're
ridiculous.
listening because progressives have understood that messaging. But what progressives do, which is slightly different, because they don't do the same thing Republicans do. Republicans do this very simple campaign thing.
Mhm.
Progressives go out and they knock on your door and they say, at your restaurant, in your library, in your whatever, they're in your face, constantly in your face. And you may say, I don't like it. But what happens is eventually you hear.
Start
And the
to
more
like
you hear, the more you hear, the more you hear. When you get to the ballot, you go, that's the name I heard. And so that is another technique which always works.
But
If the
we used
Democrats
to
would,
do this. We used to do it.
So also, we also used to do.
Y'all keep talking. I gotta go fix my fan. Keep
Go
talking.
ahead, baby.
okay,
There's the thing that we also used to do, David. We used to have motorcades.
yes, mm-hmm,
Okay, it
mm-hmm,
was a very quiet election. So I say all of that to say is I'm over Tuesday. I'm just a realist,
mm-hmm,
okay? I'm already focusing on how could we better serve the neighborhood where we live. That is our democracy. How can
mm-hmm.
we, if you live in a neighborhood and you don't know at least 5 to 6 of your neighbors, start today. Get their
But
names and numbers.
wouldn't
Hmm.
you say, Darisha, that you're doing the thing? I find you, no
Hmm.
matter where you fall on the political spectrum of Democrat versus
Hmm.
progressive, this and the other, I find that your behavior is the same as the progressives. I find that the way which you do
Sure.
your outreach, right? So it's clear to me that that is the map that works. Like that's the way you do
Yes.
it. And so what I think has to happen is that the rest of the Democratic Party needs to learn that, and they need to learn ears up. And that's the part where I think the conversation always fails. It's like, no, 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 no. This is the tried and true method that works. Here, Darisha has won. She used the tried and true method. She's been doing this forever. That's how she moves. Chris won. He used the
Hmm.
same method. That's how
Hmm.
he moves, right? Whether they were standing in progressive ultra left or middle of the left or central left, they used the same method. That's how they got where they are. I think the
And,
Democratic
and
machine needs
guess
to learn
what?
that method.
So guess what? If you are a seated elected official today
Mhm.
and your ward, they're gonna be mad at me, so why not say it? And your ward that you represent was not in the top 10,
Mm.
then you need to regroup. I'm not gonna be braggadocious. One of my 5 was in the top 10. Okay,
Mhm.
so then I'm gonna go to the other 4 so that they
Mhm.
can be in that's where you start. You look at the numbers from Omar Sabir.
Mhm.
You look at where they are and you look at where they fall. He now put out another chart. He put
Mhm.
out the numbers for all of the wards.
Mhm.
And then that's the conversation that you have going forward. That's it. It is not there's nothing, there's no magic wand. It is from this week until we get to November, going after those folks that did not
So
vote.
so here's the other thing. Here's the other
Yes,
thing
ma'am.
that burns my grits. The
Okay.
election's
Oh,
over May 19th. We don't
uh-huh.
hear from the Democratic Party again till September, October, before November. Why are we not boots on the ground every single day, right
Hmm.
up until November?
Hmm.
Why are we waiting until and oh well, people got to go on vacation? What? Stop the foolishness. Is this important to you? Is this
Hmm.
important to the collective? We are losing our freedoms every single minute of the day, and
Hmm.
still we sit with our asses up our behind talking about. I can't believe they're talking about me. Yes, Ninja, I'm talking about you because we're losing this stuff. We're
So
losing this stuff.
we're looking at the people that's on your page right now. I can't because I'm just seeing
Oh,
the three
baby,
of
there's a lot
you.
of comments. There's
Right.
a lot of comments. So
And I'm challenging, I've said it and I'll say it again.
yeah,
And it can start with Andrea. If
yeah.
I am your representative, either in an area of parts of East and West Oak Lane,
Mhm.
Alany, Nicetown, Logan, or Germantown, I'm giving you my telephone number. We have from now before November.
Yeah,
We will come to your block.
yeah,
Okay? We
yeah.
will come to your block. I can have the commissioner with me. I can have the state, our Secretary of State with
Mhm,
me. We want to have
mhm,
conversations, and my challenge is conversation with folks who
mhm.
did not vote. That's all I want. If you did not participate in this process on May 19th, you're the ones that I want to have these conversations with to find out what we need to do, because something is missing. I want to do it in a block party style. Y'all know I'm trying to lose weight. We don't got to eat, but we can have whatever. So
Right.
I
Okay.
put that out there. I will give you my telephone number. I will have that in my newsletter again. I'm ready to come to your block because the
Okay.
block style work, 717 210 1125. I'll say it again, 717 210 1125. Rep Parker is committed to doing this boots on the ground from now until you say you don't want me to no longer be your state rep. That is going to be my approach to doing what we need to do, because everything else that people have said to me is not working. So the only way it's going to work is if we do it the way I'm talking.
So listen, Joseph
Yes.
Simmons says Commissioner Omar Sabir is the only commissioner doing the job. The other two are worthless at a salary of $133,000 a year. Amber Harris, I'm liking you more and more. I feel like I need to go have some coffee with you, girl. She says we also make the mistake of talking at people. No one wants to be spoken to like they're dumb. They're not going to be receptive. And she says also, exactly, this is about relationship building. No one trusts people who come around every few months asking for something. Speak the truth, girl. Yes. Bridget says, I lost my niece to adoption because my same representative did not introduce a bill I asked for over 6 years. I have receipts. And that's why folks like State Rep Chris Rabb, yeah.
There is the
Hold on, honey. Essence says I'm in East Oak Lane, so we can set that up. Yes. And so this is how we get it. This is how we get the conversation going, right? Let me see who else. Janelle says, great discussion. Please make sure you like the live. It promotes the conversation on the YouTube platform. Yes, please like and subscribe. I keep forgetting that part because I get so caught up in the conversation with all of you. Lord have mercy.
We
make it a
see that.
podcast. Make it a podcast, Andrea. So when we do the one that you're talking about in East Oak Lane, have you and Essence partners so y'all can do it on your block. So we can do the bang for the buck. David, come on if you want to come. It doesn't matter. And I just want y'all, we're going to do it. I'd rather have Andrea and Essence lead the discussion because folks are angry and are sick of us politicians. So I would rather y'all do the part and then I'll come. And then let's just do it that way. Let's just do it that way. Have the real conversations and find out, because something is wrong. Fundamentally wrong, and people are hurting.
I think one of the things that we're watching over the last few years is that elections truly are from the bottom up. And I think that we need to get back to the understanding of it is from the person in their home, in their living room, to the person in the street, to the person in the block, to the person in the right. That's how we get to who is going to be the person that represents us. And for far too long, we have been doing elections from the top down. This idea that we're going to pluck this person and then we're going to go sell them to the block and sell them to the lawn and sign them to the person and find them to the person in the living room. And they're saying, no, thank you. Please rise up from within. And I think that that's really important that we get that message clear. So I'm pro this idea of block to block to block and going and having that conversation. But I'm also very clear that what Krasner said yesterday, you said he's coming on at 8 o'clock.
Yes,
what he said,
and he
right.
will be here.
And he'll be here. And he's always on time. What he said yesterday, which I thought was fantastic, which I'd like to lean into when he gets here at 8 o'clock, is it is time that leadership begin to shift. I know that Bob Brady had Kendra Brooks come over for a Wednesday and got up out of his chair and said, please sit here, and made sure everybody stood when she walked into the room, right? That is the type of thing of he recognizes what the Working Families Party is doing in Philadelphia. He recognizes the time to shift and what that means. And so it is not lost on him that it is time for there to be some movement. There have been some fights inside.
The heat is up in his kitchen because he has been in this position for 40 years. For 40 years. 40 years. Did you hear me say 40 years?
Yes, I was 14.
And he ended up in the position because, again, people started sharing, and if he can. See, look, what's his name? Krasner ready, honey.
Listen, come on, join in. join in.
He
Come
is
on right up
ready.
here. Talk
Um,
to all of us.
listen, the conversation
Mhm.
for years that Bob Brady was a congressman, that people were running against him, that he found ways for them not to run, and then he with one particular person, Jimmy Moore, he did some stuff that the feds came after Jimmy Moore. He
Lord, I
lost
didn't
his
even
law
know
license.
she went back there. Go ahead,
Oh,
girl. Go
baby.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes.
Because I
Go
started
ahead.
researching and asking, I ask questions. I like to hear
Okay.
the
Okay.
history of
Okay.
stuff.
And Jarisha, all I
They,
can see is the top of your head. I don't know if you meant for that to happen, but
I did. We good. We
okay.
good. Go ahead.
okay. The the feds came after them. Jimmy Moore lost his license and couldn't run anymore because Jimmy Moore was running for an office.
Yes.
Brady was said either you resign or you face indictment. He resigned and then became the head of the Democratic Party. Now, if I am wrong about any of this, somebody tell me. And he has been there ever since.
I think you put a lot of stories together. Jimmy Moore didn't have anything to do with Bob Brady being head of the party.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, that's why I missed
I
something.
said the feds came after him and told him he had to resign or face indictment, and so he resigned and then became head of the party.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay. So,
Yes.
I mean, cough. Let's talk.
Listen, gather it together. Get you some water. You want some water, baby? Get you some- I, I am.
Well,
It is not surprising to me how we get to where we are. One.
mhm.
Two, what is to be acknowledged is that today it's time that we understand what it means to fight the machine. And I think we cannot lose sight of the end goal, which is to address and be opposition government to what is now happening, which is fascism in America.
Okay.
And that
Explain
requires
that,
us to
David.
right.
Explain it.
So
Thank
when you have so opposition party, look at England for opposition party. When a party comes to government, then all of a sudden another party comes up as an opposition to the work that that party is doing.
Yes.
That is different from what we have in America currently. What we have in America,
Mhm.
actually, the Republicans often do act as an opposition party. They stop things, they move things,
Mhm.
they disrupt things. Democrats often sit behind and say, "Let them mess it up and take it to the floor so we can come back and rebuild it." They're not necessarily as forceful, in your face, nasty, with the middle finger up, saying absolutely not. Right. And what we need at a time, whenever there is someone who's willing to be fascist, go to the extreme, break the law, what you need is opposition. You need someone who's willing to go into their office with their middle finger up, pounding on the desk and saying, absolutely not. And if you don't, we'll take you out. Right. And I think that that is the kind of government that is necessary. People on the streets, people in their beds, people on the toilet in the morning time are looking for the opposition party to rise up that they can join. That's what builds momentum. So these ultra left, progressive, whatever you want to call them, people are now folks that are saying we need to go outside with the fight. We're ready to be the opposition party. And I think the Democratic Party needs to understand it and get on board with what that means. That means taking up your pitchforks, your knives, your guns, your whatever else you got to do, and being the abrasive of front. I want us to recall where we see this in California. One of the reasons why Gavin Newsom gained some energy was because he was willing to be an opposition voice to Donald Trump. Same rhetoric, same kind of come toe to toe, same whatever. We're going to play chess together. We're not going to be nice and say, oh, well, that's just rude and we don't speak that way. No, you want me to cuss and scream and shout? Let me cuss and scream and shout. There are places where that works and places where that does not. Local
Exactly.
government. Philadelphians do not want to be screamed at, shout at, or preached at. And they keep saying this, right? That doesn't work here. You can't
No.
do it here. So
No.
we have to know where to play that game and where not to play that game. This is not the game for Philadelphia, but from the national standpoint of where people are trying to fight the Trump machine, which by the way is not a Republican machine, it is a MAGA machine. We have to be very clear about that. It is a completely different government. It is an opposition government to everything that America was built for. That's why we see these laws being broken down like this. Today, we need to form an opposition government against it.
Well, there we go.
I mean, he dropped the T in so many ways, and
Child.
I'm thinking of here's what also happens. Two things that people haven't been paying attention to closely. When you yell out like a she's still Congresswoman, and she'll always have honorable in front of her name.
Mhm.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. The
Mhm.
Republicans, I call them gangsters because they know how to move. So they move quickly, did the redistricting. Now that woman represents nothing. And when she tried to run, she doesn't have anything. So what they
Mhm.
are, when it comes to these things, gangster with their movement. So then they take you away. Also, we look at the legislatures in Tennessee who had they started speaking out, removed all of them from their committees. So we say that to say this is what people are saying, that they want to see that type of bold brashness of policy
Mhm.
in our Democratic Party. They just want to see that fight. They want to see that grit. They want to see
Mhm.
that punch. They want to see that gumption. They want
Mhm.
to see they would love to see that a union hit me. I can't talk. I got to talk to you guys. My
Okay.
bad. Literally, they got to keep doing that fight. Doing
Yeah.
that fight. I didn't want to be rude. Want to
Mhm.
keep that fight. So I just give everybody full scope. When people say that they want to fight, this is what they want to see. That's why they see me. That's why they hear my voice getting raspy because they know I'm gonna go in. But what happens with these going ins for the two of y'all? People like me can't operate as an island. it,
Mhm.
it helps when we have you two with collections of the progressives and whatever else, and we are forming and a formalizing an educated verse of their policies, understanding what
Mhm.
verse looks like. Because if we had a force and we had a gang, we would have minimum wage. So that's sometimes what we do need is
Mhm.
that revolution, and I feel that that war is coming.
Yeah, Michael Robinson says MAGA is not traditional conservatism. You are absolutely correct.
Hmm.
Joseph says Republicans cheat, make it plain. And see, Michael Robinson says Democrats cheat as well. Make no mistake. Which is
Oh,
why
please.
because people were for years. What are your options? Either you go with them, they're just what did the undesirables. I remember when
Oh.
that was first said. I said, oh my God, this is going to be a problem, right?
Basket of deplorables.
The basket of the right. So we have to figure out how we're navigating. We have to say when you give your word, show
Mm,
up, even if you can't do exactly what you are asked to do. You said, you know what, I didn't get it right. We're in a space now. I'm glad to hear that Bob Brady brought Kendra Brooks to the table. I'm glad to
mhm.
hear that the mayor of this city, when someone heckled her, instead of responding in kind, said, you know what, this is a free democracy. You have your this is how leaders should show up. And when we invite folks to the table, and not just invite them to the table so we can make silent deals, but invite them to the table so you can hear exactly what folks are dealing with every
Mhm.
single day. We are taxed, the Uber tax, the this tax, the that tax, all across this city. Don't roll your head and turn your eyes, child, because I'm telling them, I'm speaking truth, speaking
It's
ever
five.
cautious what you will,
It's
right?
five. No, I'm
Five
rolling
tax.
my head because it's not done yet, but it's five. It's real life. No, I'm saying rolling my head because it's real life. It's real life.
Oh my God.
It's real life. It's real life. We are living in times that are not familiar. We're not living in times that are sexy. And I think that the times that people want, they and they're getting it, and they don't see the results. And I
Mhm.
think that's what it is. They don't see
And
the
it's because we
results.
stopped. When people said, "I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm broke," we said, "Let's give you an education.
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
Let's
Because
give you
20 years
bread."
from now, you get the education, you pay back the school loan, you might be able to make a job making $60,000 a year.
And there's the
What
tone
bullshit?
deafness of
What
this
is
is what we
wrong
keep
with
doing.
us?
Because what happens is that in this party, we take what we believe is the best way for us to go forward and try to feed it to you by spoon. The truth is, when someone says, "I'm hungry," you feed them. When someone says, "I'm impoverished," you find a way to make sure that they can get through the next day, right? When someone says, "I'm without a home," you find the housing immediately and then you work on the permanent housing, right? But what we do is we try to give you ways that you can go fish for your own fish and put your own bootstrap on and hopefully one day learn the waltz. It's craziness, right? And so that's something the Republican
But
Party
you're
doesn't
but
do
what you're
with its
also
constituents.
saying, that's a bubblegum solution. What I mean is
Well,
that okay, because that one
I think what I'm
particular
saying
thing.
is if you're hungry, Darisha, and you
Mhm,
come to me starving and you say,
mhm.
"I'm hungry," the first thing I have to do is feed you. Once you're fed, I can have a real conversation with you because your brain's working about what are we going to do to sustain this in the long term,
But there are no
right? But what I
systems in
can't
place.
do,
That's not
But
government.
David, there are
That's
no
not government.
systems. There are no systems in place to to get people fed. They're
We
just
used to
okay.
have
Well,
them. We got rid of the systems. We removed the systems. We had the YMCA was the very last one of these places where you could go and spend $10 and stay there for the night, right? In a safe place that wasn't a
yeah,
homeless shelter, it was just a boarding house.
yep.
We got rid of all of those, right? And the reason we
Mhm.
got rid of them was that the silly little law that said that if you live somewhere, it has to be this many square feet. And therefore, all the people who were living in hotel-like situations were suddenly without a home. The bottom rank was gone. We made people homeless because we took people who were unstable mentally, who were going to hospitals for medication, and cut
Those
out the mental
hospitals are
hospital,
gone.
cut out the
Yes,
treatment centers, and put them on the street and then said, oh my God, they don't have a job. I don't know why. Are you going to hand the person a job who's scratching their behind to make French fries for you? Are you going to
That's
want to
right.
have a private conversation with their inner monologue? Are you going to ask them to answer the phone? Are you going to give the person a job? No, you're not. So instead of that, what we have to realize is that we have this very basic truth of we have to do human services one-on-one first. Permanent housing is not an impossibility. It costs us $23 million a year. We spend $87 million a year on these other solutions. Why? Because our brains won't allow us to do what we know we need to do because we say it doesn't feel good. Well, let me tell you what feels worse. What feels worse is being put out of your house to find yourself in the street for sleep and then to be removed off the street so you can create a bicycle lane. That feels worse. Okay, so that's where we have to change the way in which we do what we do called humanities and stop telling people in 5, 10, 6 years where we got you. No, 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 no. Where's the hot dog today? Where's the food right now? Because until people have slept and eaten, they're going to be in a state of fight and flight. And that is not a state where we can be productive at all. And we see that happening. So the people who are left to fend are the ones we're now dealing with about what do we do? So we have to stop this idea of we're going to teach you how to make it on your own. We got to start with I'm just like babies. When a baby is born, we feed it, we burp it, we poop it, we wipe it for the first how many years of its life. We don't
yep.
say to the baby, let me teach you, here's a fishing pole, go out and enjoy, and if you survive, great. We don't do that. And we have adult babies that are existing. We need to understand that. And we need to treat it the same way. This is the food for now. This is the nurture for now. We'll make you strong enough to be able to go on and do what you need to do. But we got to get you stable. That means we have to provide you the housing, the food. And it's actually cheaper for us to do it. We just won't do it because we're so busy worried about capitalism in the thought process.
Okay.
Ooh, child.
I know.
Well,
I said it. He said it.
Essence says, well, this is hotter than Senator Street. Amen.
We need to be on doing
Amen.
this more because, but this is
We
the truth.
should.
I'm
This
We
is
ready.
where we
should.
are. You know, I published recently Tia Rotham, which was a book about why I came to the floor to do. But a lot of this policy work is in it. It's in the book, and it's literally when I say literally, it takes me to task to the floor, often in tears, that we look at the simplest solution and put our middle fingers up to it because
Yep.
it doesn't sing to our own understanding of I hate to call it this way, but the next best me, right? What's going to take my middle class blackness and make it more fabulous? What's going to this upward remote mobile craziness that is not the job of governance. The job of governance is to make sure it is okay for you to survive in the first place. If you feel extra motivated, you want to be fabulous, great. Here's some programs that might be able to help you. You're going to be the people who go out and create the machines or whatever else and the billions of dollars. You'll come back home, we hope, and build infrastructure. That's fantastic. But please stop giving me the tax break at the top of the ladder and telling the people at the bottom of the ladder to eat crow. Please stop making it possible for my Ivy League educated X, Y, and Z, whoever it is, to be the most fabulous X, Y, and Z. Meanwhile, you ignore people who don't perhaps speak English correctly. Please stop, because that is just creating this nightmare of a Titanic situation where somebody brilliant enough to play checkers with another poor population gets to come in and scrap the entire game and take billions of dollars and give it to people who started insurrection and take billions of dollars and repaint a reflecting pool and take billions of dollars and make themselves rich while they rape children so that we can just sit eyes wide shut and say, okay, because we're still worried about making sure that you got a 4-year degree to be able to eat tonight.
Oh, Joanne Bell says Bob Brady was the Democratic Party chair since about 1985 and
Hmm.
remained chair up to today. He has
Hmm.
served continuously as chair through his term as congressman. He resigned from the congressman's spot due to a scandal.
Hmm.
Um, David, there, listen, Lord, David, they're going in. Laura says, Joe, whew, What a view, David. I never really thought about it that way. We actually have the money to do this if we change our thinking, but it's deliberate that they're not changing their thinking. It's deliberate that we put upon the poor. We create the thief only to punish it, as David would say over and again. I got to say goodbye to the both of you because I got to create space too for
That's right.
Larry Krasner to come on.
Mwah.
David will not be on Monday, so this was perfect. Thank you, darlings. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Woo, child. My Lord on today, my Lord on today. My Lord, my Lord, my Lord. That was an excellent conversation. Excellent conversation. And from two different people from two walks of life. And there's Larry Krasner. Whoo, my Lord. I think your being on is about to set fire to the rain.
Well,
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am so
what
good.
What can I say? I just love being on the show. It's always
thank you. Thank you. Because you're not afraid to speak to the truth. I mean, I've asked you some hard questions, over the years as you were running back and forth. This is your third term as district attorney of Philadelphia. The people are loving. Oh my God. All right. So let me introduce you because you and I are about to go into a whole different conversation, but a similar one about the people struggling and trying to figure out how they're going to make it out here and get, what they need. Larry Krasner is an American lawyer and politician who has served as the district attorney of Philadelphia since 2018. Before entering public office, he spent decades as a civil rights and criminal defense attorney, often representing protesters, defendants in police misconduct cases, and activists. So, sir, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. You see how you're smiling? Let me take off my glasses.
I know it's going to be a great conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yesterday morning, I got a text from a dear friend, and in that text was a video of you calling for the resignation of Bob Brady, who was the Democratic chair of the Philadelphia Democrats, right? And so I posted it on my page. I want you to hear some of these comments before you and I begin having a conversation. It actually took off like wildfire. I was quite shocked when I saw it because I just thought, well, maybe 10 people will say something about it. All these comments later. Let me see. Adrian Seltzer said, so very right. I've even told Bob Brady to step aside to his face. He turned purple. When you can't even get enough turnout in Philly to get your goddaughter elected to the state court, please leave. I don't know if he has a goddaughter that's under state court. Brian Griffith says, Larry Krasner is absolutely right. I embrace all political wings that fight against injustice. Progressives, moderates, and conservatives need to work together to stop this corrupt presidential administration. Mr. Man Frisbee said, he's absolutely right. Now give that man some good baked macaroni and cheese. And then Mr. Man Frisbee called and said, I need to go to Victoria's and order you some macaroni and cheese and take it down to your office. So that's coming because they want you to have that. Scott Field says, Larry Krasner didn't say anything wrong. If Krasner was appointed, then there would be some issues, but he's also a politician, and Brady's control over the party here needs to be addressed. Finally, someone said it publicly. Denise Clay Murray says, in all honesty, the DCC has been kind of ineffective for a while now. A lot of folks have said it's time for new leadership, but only Krasner, who has managed to, despite the party, not because of it, has said the quiet part out loud. The committee person and ward leader races will ultimately decide if Brady gets the boot or not. And because of how some of those races went on Tuesday, there may finally be some movement on that front. Gilberto Gonzalez said, sir, you had the people talking. He said, 100% agreed. I think that Brady was forced out of Congress for criminal activity, but the government left him in control of the Democratic Party. Is this true? How does it make sense? Who was the judge? Why would the party allow this? Lots of questions. Thank you, Krasner. Pamela Williams says he is absolutely correct. We are the laughing stock of voter turnout. The Philadelphia political process needs to be resuscitated. Bob Brady must resign in order for that to be accomplished. Respectfully. Sir, I only gave you 10 comments out of dozens. I want to ask you first, what made you go down to Spring Garden Street and record this video? What was the impetus behind it?
It was really 25 years of watching the operation of the Democratic Party. I am a lifelong Democrat. I have news junkie since I was. Remember that rotten Richard Nixon, and he was rotten. And I've been following it ever since. I didn't know anything about operating in politics until my wife ran for judge around the year 2000. And the short version of that story is that she and I both really learned how to crack the code on Philly politics. We learned that the emperor has no clothes. And I think we know who the emperor is, because Bob Brady's been in that position since 1986. He has been there 40 years. Essentially, what was going on was a system of insiders, a classic political machine. And at that time, it had a lot more shiny parts. By now, it has a lot more rusty parts. But the guiding principle was this, and this is a quote from Bob Brady. Feel free to check it with anyone else who knows him well. This is a quote. The only friends we need are the ones we already have. Okay? Think about that for a second. We have X number of votes in a giant city that's struggling and has been struggling for as long as I've been around. The only ones we need are the ones we already have. Now, what that really means is we just need to control the votes we have. For what purpose? Obviously not to grow the party. You can't grow the party by making no new friends. The purpose was to keep themselves in office. The purpose was to have patronage power to appoint somebody else's nephew, so that person, that ward leader, would be beholden to you, and that ward leader would always support you. The purpose was always about them. It was about the insiders doing what was good for the insiders. And it was not where, frankly, I think a lot of our best electeds are. And I will say this, I think this is true of Chris Rabb. I think this is true of Sharif Street, even though he had Bob Brady's support. I think it's true of Dr. Stanford. I think it's true of Morgan Cephas. All of these candidates who are friends of mine who ran for U.S. House, I think they all want to grow the vote. I think they all want new friends. I think they want this city to have more money for education because twice as many people vote. And votes are money. When people vote, you can get money from the legislature because you have political power, right? So for the head of a party for 40 years to take the position that the only friends we need are the ones we already have will clearly serve his purpose and the purpose of those closest to him. It will never put this city in its best position. And what makes this even worse, is that we are in the biggest city and the biggest swing state in the United States. Everybody knows that when Philly turns out massively, it can change the outcome of presidential elections. And we're up against the possibility of losing our democracy, okay? What we just saw in this primary was that a much more effective group of people politically who are essentially, in my mind, they might get mad, but I'll say it, they're essentially progressive Democrats, which is the Working Families Party. And I say that because they stand for all the principles that the Democratic Party at its best stands for. They stand for people who have to work long hours to make ends meet. They stand for good public education. They stand for universal health care. I could go on and on, but we know they stand for people, okay? They stand for the outsiders. You're in a city of 1.6 million people. There are probably 1.55 million outsiders, and there's only about 50,000 people who are sitting around splitting up a pie. That's what we're dealing with. How can we have the Democratic Party? I mean, I expect this of the MAGA Party, but how can we have the Democratic Party be a bunch of insiders who are serving insiders? And the other 1.55 million, well, you know, the friends we already have are the only ones we need. So, you know, I've been watching that for 25 years, and it did not escape my notice that, you know, my wife, with my help, when we figured out how to crack the code, was able to beat that system. It did not escape my notice for many years after, when I quietly helped some judicial candidates who were outsiders get elected. Didn't always work, but it worked a lot. Did not escape my notice that we were able to beat it then. And then finally, when I lost my mind and I decided to run for DA, it did not escape my notice that not only I won, but the turnout was massive compared to the turnouts that we usually get. And again, I'm not bragging about me. This is not about me. This is about what happens when outsiders hear something that's important to them, whether it has to do with choice or whether it has to do with criminal justice reform, which it has affected or you know, the old side for Lenny and for Seth Williams, you get 9 or 12% turnout during the cycles in which I have been running. And again, it's not about me. It's about the issue of criminal justice reform. During those cycles, we have turned out close to 20%, 25%. I think we even turned out 35% one time. We're talking about massive increases in voter participation. Did Bob ever endorse this thing? You know, this candidate, this incumbent? No. For the first time in 40 years, he was not going to endorse this candidate. And again, it's not about me. It's about, yo, Bob, will you ever let the outsiders in, even if they win? Even if they win, will you ever let the outsiders in? The answer is no, because we do not serve the purpose of serving the insiders. It's really that simple.
Do they realize now at this point the fallacy of that? Do they get that yet?
They do not, because it's not a fallacy that they're serving themselves. It's not.
Touché.
They're doing just fine. Somebody's getting the macaroni and cheese. It's just not me. Okay. I mean, like that's what we're talking about here. We're going to do what? We're going to level Chinatown, and we're going to build a stadium in the middle of town, and we're going to spend all of government's time on that because it's a huge contract for the building trades. We're going to do all that. And it turns out it was a ruse the whole time. Somebody's interest got served.
And was there ever an apology to the people for the months and months and months of all of that taking place? That's the part I think that stuck with me, that we had a whole conversation around who did what, but no one ever really apologized to the people. Now, if someone apologized, let me know. I didn't hear an apology. So what do you, as a direct result of your putting up this video, what do you hope to gain from this, if anything? What has the response been to your putting this video up?
Well, you know, the most important response to me is Bob Brady's response. I did not ask for him to lose the next election because I know how this works, you know, and this is where Chris Rabb is right when he says this is a structural issue. The ward leaders are elected by the committee people. The ward leaders pick Bob or they reject Bob. That's how that works. Well, you know, Bob has been getting jobs for the nephews of some of these ward leaders for a very, very long time. Bob has been in a position to make sure, you know, somebody's cousin has a contract with the city for a very long time. Bob has been passing out street money. We won't get into the details, but let's just say it's not entirely accountable for a very long time. And he's been passing it out whether you get the vote out or not. Whether you canvass the doors, meaning you go to the doors and knock them or not. So a city of 1.6 million, a country of 350 million's future comes down to what? The votes of, you know, less than 100 ward leaders who have been in or out of the pocket of Bob Brady for a long time. And I do want you to know there's plenty of really good ward leaders. We're out there, and I don't want to sully the ones who are the shiny parts of the machine, but he's got enough rusty parts. I did something else. I said, Bob, please step aside. I asked him to step aside, and I said to him, you know, because he was very good friends with Joe Biden. They used to ride Amtrak together to and from DC. I said to him, you know, please have the wisdom that Joe Biden finally had, which is to put the country first, put the city first, put the outsiders first. You can't keep putting the insiders first. Please do that. Now, we all know Joe Biden did that way too late, which is part of the reason it was virtually impossible for Kamala Harris to be the president, despite her running a great campaign in which Bob Brady failed to help in a serious way. Like, we know that. But really what I said is, Bob, I mean, sure, he can probably orchestrate it to stay in there longer and just keep messing us up. And he can make those of us who have to work outside to beat him in elections do that. But it's not functional. The Democratic Party should be united. It should be together. We want all the good friends we can get. We do not just want the friends we already have. And that is how you can make Pennsylvania go blue again in the next election, assuming we have an election. That is how you can actually change this country in fundamental ways. You know, that's what it's all about. Who knows how to do this? Well,
Mhm.
one of the groups that knows how to do it is the Working Families Party. And in a
Mhm.
very concrete way, they just do the work. They go door to door, they knock on doors, and when the door opens, they listen. They listen to voters. You know, this is why the Working Families Party was talking about affordability years before the Democratic Party kept losing and
Oh, I think I lost you
kept
there.
losing and finally caught up.
Okay.
So
Okay. Good.
the wisdom that Joe Biden had, just,
Yeah.
it's late enough. Let's not make it later. Please
Right.
just do the right thing for the country and step aside.
Yes. Someone's asking, Lynette Hill says, does the DA's election task force actually investigate and prosecute local election law violations that happen at the polling places, or is the task force mainly focused on federal matters?
Great question. The answer is yes, we do. We just came through an election day. We probably had in the area of about 50 complaints and reports
Mhm.
coming from the community. They
Mhm.
were routinely investigated. When whatever was communicated to us rose to a certain level, there was a
Mhm.
detective who would go
Mhm.
out with an attorney, and they would
Mhm.
go to the location to deal with the situation and investigate it. If
Mhm.
after we gather all the information and settle all the different disputes, if we end up in a position where there's something to prosecute, we're going to do it. Now,
Mhm.
we also, of course, we didn't used to have to worry about the feds coming in and messing with our elections, but we do now. So it's
Mhm.
really inevitable that we also have to keep an eye out for what might happen by means of either, paramilitary militias, terrorism, or what might happen as a consequence of, National Guard, ICE,
Mhm.
or some
Mhm.
other federal entity invading the city.
Mhm. Do you believe that Bob Brady is taking heed to what you have said yesterday? Do you believe he is actually considering? I mean, you can't get into his mind, but the force, there's been quite a bit of conversation about his stepping down, about his going away. Do you believe he will give some consideration to what you and so many others have said, or do you believe he's just going to walk away and ignore it? I was told this morning by David Alexander Jenkins that he actually invited um, Kendra Brooks to the Democratic committee and invited her to come and sit in and sit next to him. Do you believe that a change is going to happen here?
Well, this is what I believe. I believe there's good in all people.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I believe that I've watched 25 years of the opposite kind of behavior, but I
Mm-hmm.
believe that Bob Brady is capable,
Mm-hmm.
at 81 years of age, and frankly,
Mm-hmm.
age don't matter if you're still winning, but he's not
He's
winning.
81.
I think he is capable of saying, you know what, the
Mm-hmm.
Phillies aren't playing so well right
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we got to do right by the city. Maybe we got to do right by the fans. Maybe we got to change the coach, and that coach is me. I think
Mm-hmm.
he's capable of it. I do think that Joe Biden, in many ways, is not only a friend of his, but kind of someone he really deeply respected. And Joe did
Mm-hmm.
it. He did it too late, but he did it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think Bob Ray is going to listen to me. If he had, it would have been a very different course of action, because I've tried multiple times to say, look, let me help you bring progressives into the tent, liberals into the tent. Let me help you
Mm-hmm.
bring new votes and new voters
Mm-hmm.
who care about criminal justice reform. And every time I gave him the olive branch, he picked it up and tried to swing it at me, because that's who he
Okay.
is, right?
Okay.
Not going to listen to me, but I do think there are probably people in his life who are very influential, who are
Mm-hmm.
thoughtful. I don't want to speculate on whether it's someone who lives in his home or it's someone
Mm-hmm.
he goes back 50 years with. But I think there are people in his life who know that this is the right thing, just as people in Biden's life knew for different reasons
Mm-hmm.
that it was the right thing. And I hope he would listen to them. I don't need him listening to me, but I hope
Right.
he would listen to them, because this is just the right thing to do. And I do believe that Bob Brady is capable of doing the right thing.
Okay. You started the drumbeat. People were saying it privately. You started the drumbeat publicly. Now let me kind of go off. It's related but quite not. Bridget Powell says, where do you want your mac and cheese delivered to? And the reason they're asking is something happened on election day. Can you speak to that thing?
Sure. And in many ways, it comes back to the same issue, which is
Mm-hmm.
about insiders for insiders. When Philly is not for insiders. Philly is a town of outsiders, and it
Mm-hmm.
should be. I love me some outsiders; those are my people. But
Mm-hmm.
so what happened is, on election day, there's a long tradition that political people all gather for lunch. Recently, it's been held at one of my favorite restaurants in Philly, South, the Bynum Brothers restaurant. It's 600 North Broad, I believe it is. And I went there looking for some mac and cheese. That's what I wanted to do. All the reporters gather outside and they ask you questions and you answer the questions. The reporters are not inside. And then you go inside and you're there with, the campaign manager for one candidate or a particular official. They all gather there and then they go about their way because election day is a long day. So I went and I saw a lot of people outside and I was being questioned, as you usually are, by one of, arguably Philly's leading political reporter for the Inquirer, and that is Anna Orso. Just normal questions. In the middle of my conversation, Ryan Boyer, who is, of course, the head of the building trades unions, but not actually the head of the laborers, that's Sam Staten, but Ryan Boyer comes up and he sticks a hand in between us in the middle of the conversation, wanting me to shake his hand. Now, for those of you who were ever on a playground and you saw the bully kid who came up and he stole lunch money from another kid, that guy, and then when the teacher showed up, the bully kid went and wrapped his arm around the kid he'd ripped off to show that they were good. For any of you who have ever seen that happen to someone, it didn't happen to me because I was kind of tall, but for any of you who've ever seen that happen, that's what was happening. What was happening, without getting into the details, is that Ryan Boyer and the building trades not only had gone against me real hard in the election, but Ryan then told the media that he was so upset that my opponent, Pat Dugan, was going to keep running as a Republican, that he was going to give me money. All I had to do was call, right? So I believe in reconciliation. I called up and he made a very specific commitment to me that he would do everything for me he had done for Pat Dugan, which was $160,000. What he actually did after making me call him 25 times was nothing. Okay? I'm not talking about a misunderstanding. I'm talking about lying. I'm talking about lying over and over and over and over and over to me, wasting my time, making me write letters that he could distribute to do this. Is this about the money? No, it's really not about the money. He's never going to do that. I now understand who he is. And I learned somewhere in the middle that he has a well-known nickname, and that well-known nickname is Lion Ryan. Okay. So the point is, I'm having a conversation that's got nothing to do with him. He came up in the middle, shoved his hand in because I'm supposed to shake his hand and pretend falsely in front of the whole city that we're buddies. And I said, don't you owe me money? Words to that effect. Ryan, where's the money? Something to that effect, right? As any Philadelphia outsider would. This never, ever would have happened if he hadn't wanted A, to rip me off and lie to me repeatedly, and B, to make it look like that wasn't happening. I also knew that he was looking at a loss. Sharif Street is my friend. I like Sharif a lot. I really do. And I mean that sincerely. I think, he and a lot of those candidates would have made excellent members of the U.S. House. But I think it really hurt Sharif that he was associated with Ryan Boyer. I think it really hurt him that he was associated with Bob Brady. I think it made it a lot harder for him than it might have otherwise been. And I'm not second guessing his judgment. I'm just saying, as someone who I consider a friend, who I think is very capable, that was a mistake. So I knew that they were not going to have, that Ryan was not going to have the best night. And this was part of his game to try to show a bunch of stuff that's phony. I mean, look, we just got to be about the outsiders. We got to tell the truth. The end of the story, of course, is that he announced that I could not come inside. Even though I was invited, I got uninvited because I said something true about him. And I said, well, what about my mac and cheese? Because, I do love mac and cheese. And I was, at that point, I'm just having my fun with him, because if we're really going to be that silly and petty after you falsely tried to show that we're all good and he doesn't lie and all this kind of stuff, if you're really going to do that, then we can at least have some fun with it.
So if I heard you correctly, you were being interviewed by the Philadelphia Inquirer. Ryan Boyer, head of the Building and Trades Union, came over to shake your hand in the middle of that interview. You then turned to him. You're alleging, because again, I don't have the receipts in front of me, so you're alleging that he promised you $160,000. And I know you wouldn't say it if you didn't have the receipts. So I'm just covering A Lawful Truth. You're alleging that, that he said he was going to give you $160,000. You asked him for your money when what you really should have done was said, hey, and shook his hand and not said anything. You called him out in front of all the reporters, etc. And then he said you are uninvited from coming in. Did he say he never offered you $160,000, or was he so stunned that you actually said that publicly?
Well, it's the same old issue. It's the same old issue. It's the insiders for the insiders. It doesn't actually matter how many times that Chris Rabb, who's an outsider candidate, wins, and he's won now 3 times, 3 election cycles, actually more than 3 times. Or someone like me who's an outsider wins. It doesn't matter how many times Kendra Brooks or Nick O'Rourke wins. We are always going to be outsiders. We are not the people who are going to be in the smoky room. And the truth is not going to apply when they're dealing with us. If it applies at all, it's only going to apply to the insiders. So, I mean, simply put, I don't actually hate Ryan Boyer. That is not the case. I was just unwilling to be a part of this phony portrayal of what's going on. I think people are entitled to know that someone who has that much power, Ryan Boyer, and makes that much money without ever having been elected to anything, to my knowledge, is known in the community as Lion Ryan. I think they are entitled to know that when he inserted himself, it was for the purpose of making a false representation about who he is and what our relationship is. They're entitled to know that. Does it surprise you when we look back on what happened with the stadium and we look back on what happened with the building trades involvement there? Does it surprise you that someone there might be capable of misleading the public? Well, not based on my experience. So that's what that is. But I'm not mad at Ryan. I just want you to know that. If I was mad, I wouldn't have been so upset about not getting my mac and cheese. My bottom line is like, come on, let's just be honest about this. Bob's got to go for the good of the city. Ryan, you ain't honest. You just ain't. Not in my experience. That's my opinion. We need to have leadership in the city that is scrupulously honest. We need to have leadership that is not about their own pocket. We need to have leadership that is about the outsiders, who are almost all of us. So something got said.
Oh, okay, so I'm moving on because Lynette Hill had asked about the current data showing how many local polling place elections. Is there any current public data showing how many local polling place election violations were actually investigated? And then she wrote this. She said, I ask because many people who reported what they believed were clear polling place violations never saw any visible action, follow-up, or accountability from the DA's office afterwards. And then someone else wrote and says, was there something of the 52nd Ward, 23rd Division? Do we have any updates on the investigation of the 52nd Ward? Do you know what they're talking about?
I will tell you this. We had probably 50 investigations. I don't have all the data in front of me. Obviously, I'm not even at the office at the moment. But we had very diligent review of looking into investigations. What usually happens on election day, because there are these technical requirements. Can you wear a shirt inside? How many feet away you got to be? Where do you have to put this poster? All that sort of stuff. Can you have an official be running for something and simultaneously be involved in monitoring the voting process? These things come up because a lot of people don't know all the tiny ins and outs, the little technical aspects of it. So you get a lot of complaints in the morning. And some of them are resolved just by talking on the phone and explaining, no, you misunderstood the rule. That number of feet away is okay, that sort of thing. But we went out on dozens of these calls. We investigated all of them. There may be ongoing investigations now, but we have never, as a matter of policy, and we should have this policy, confirmed or denied the existence of investigation. A lot of times you'll get a report, sometimes from a candidate, to be honest, saying, oh my God, somebody was out there. I'll leave the name of this elected official, but there was a report that an elected official was out in front of a polling place threatening to beat somebody up and using racial slurs, right? Oh my goodness, did you hear it? No. Who heard it? Other person. You get to the other person. Was he threatening to beat you up? No. Were there racial slurs? No. Did you have a conversation in which you disagreed? Yes. Okay. I mean, the person who gave us the rumor thinks this is a terrible event. the person who actually witnessed confirmed that it was not a terrible event. It
Mm-hmm.
was just, in a free society, people disagreeing. That's all
Mm-hmm.
it was. So I understand how some people may look at this either because they don't know what the true facts were, they just heard some bad report,
Mm-hmm.
or they don't know some of the technical aspects and they may assume that there was not an effort. We made a very, very strong effort. It was a peaceful election day, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud of the fact that a lot of other jurisdictions come to us to study how we do it because we take it seriously.
Yeah. I thank you. Thank you for being willing to have the conversation. Thank you for clarifying the questions that we had for you this morning. Thank you for standing true to what it means to stand up for the people of this city in Philadelphia. You're clearly, are you a member of the Working Families Party, or you just work with them?
I've always run as a Democrat, but I love
Mhm.
them. These are wonderful people who directly or indirectly always should have been
Mhm.
inside of the Democratic Party tent.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I love Kendra Brooks. I think she's about as pure a soul as you're going to find. Nick
Mhm.
O'Rourke is an absolutely wonderful, amazing speaker, a really
Mhm.
talented pastor. I see very bright futures for a lot of the people in the
Mhm.
Working Families Party because to me, they're what the Democratic Party used to be. They're not the
Mhm.
party of Wall Street. They're not
Mhm.
the party of rich guys.
Mhm.
They're not the party that's always trying to do polling before they decide what they think. To me, the
Mhm.
Working Families Party is where the Democratic Party needs to get back to.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that is thinking with their heart about broke people and
Mhm.
hardworking people, middle class
Mhm.
people, their needs, their wants, their
Mhm.
notion of right and wrong,
Mhm.
instead of what we have now, which is
Mhm.
frankly a disaster.
Yeah. I have one last question for you. Can you tell us a little bit about the elder justice case you had?
I'm delighted to do that. Speaking of outsiders, so there's a bunch of rotten people who ripped off seniors, and
Mhm.
they had a scheme that basically involved tricking seniors into giving them credit card information by claiming that somehow these seniors had failed to pay a utility bill properly. And
Mhm.
then they would run up those credit cards a variety of different ways. It involved phony phone calls saying, I'm from Citizens Bank or a different bank, phony phone calls saying, I'm from PGW, I'm from Pico, I'm from some other place. You didn't sign your check, Mrs.
Mhm.
Smith, that sort of thing. And we're talking a lot of money. We're talking so far, probably more than $1.5 million. We're talking so far more than 150 victims. So you're talking like 10 grand a piece. We're
Mhm.
not talking $100 here. We're talking like 10
Mhm.
grand a piece. I think the worst victimization was about $90,000 to a senior who probably is living on a fixed income. And we so far have charged all of these conspirators who are caught. There's some warrants out there. We're grabbing some more, but
Mhm.
we so far have charged all the ones who are caught. And we've brought cases on behalf of 36 victims. We expect to bring cases on behalf of all the rest of the victims. But I'm telling you right now, I expect this to get bigger and bigger. I think we're going to find out that they were doing more awful things to seniors. And I think we're going to find out that they were into other activity. A couple of these people have pretty nasty criminal records that even involve violent crime. One of them has a prior that involves similar activity and doing federal time for it. So I'm really delighted with the work we got from the Postal Service
Mhm.
to help us, the work we got from Philadelphia Police to help us.
Mhm.
We have a great detective in the office and some great lawyers. This is a really big bust of people victimizing seniors, mostly in the Southwest and the Northwest.
Mhm.
And I'm really excited about that, among other things, because I'm a senior. I'm
Yeah.
65.
Oh,
We
you
need to fight for
finally
that.
made it there, huh? Okay, so
65.
see, we're hearing a lot of these cases recently. People's credit cards are being compromised. I'm glad you've been working on this piece, because the other thing is that there's Act 135, where they're going into seniors' homes, claiming that they're abandoned, a blight, etc., and they're taking over people's homes, and it's happening to seniors right here in the city of Philadelphia. We're grateful to hear that you're doing the work to help to bust and really have people caution themselves around what's happening here. What can citizens do to protect themselves from stuff like this?
Well, one thing they can do is respectfully let their council people know let government know that the DA's office is seeking a very moderate budget increase, but $1 million of it is to protect seniors. And we tried before. We need to get that money because we need more detectives. The more detectives we have, the more we can do on that. You know, it's really important that our seniors feel safe. Another thing is if you're getting phone calls from a financial institution, it could be a phony. It probably is. If you're getting phone calls, it's almost certainly a phony. If people are trying to get your social security number, your credit card number, your date of birth, they're trying to get that kind of stuff, something's wrong here. What you should do is hang up that call right away. And if you're worried that something is actually going on, you call the utility company. You call your own credit card. Get the number off the back of your credit card. You call them. Go to a number that you can trust. And don't look it up online. Because what happens online is that these scammers will put up a phony phone number for Citizens Bank or a phony phone number for a credit card company. You'll call that thinking you're getting the real deal, and you're not, you know, and they will do unto you what they already tried to do on the phone. So be very, very suspicious about that. There's no way in the world you should be having utility company come to your door saying, give me money.
Right.
They come to your door and say your house is about to explode and you see a big properly painted truck out there, then start listening. But if they're coming out to say, hey, we're just so nice, we want to come out and take your credit card, we want to take cash, there's something very wrong here. We want you to
switch suppliers and we want to offer you this thing. I run them from goodbye, go away. It's a lot going on out here. It's not easy. District Attorney Larry Krasner, it's always a pleasure. Thank you, sir, for always giving us the opportunity to hear your voice, to hear what you have to say. And we reserve the right to continue asking you to come back on here to have dialogue with us.
I will be very disappointed if I don't come on here at least every few weeks. Very disappointed, Andrea Lawful. In fact, I think there should be a law. It should be that I'm required because then that would be lawful.
Thank you so much, sir. Have a good Friday and happy Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye. What a show. What a show. I'm hungry. I've been sitting here this whole time because I worked out early this morning, only had a protein shake so I wouldn't fall over after I did all of that. But I want to thank you all for your encouraging notes, your engagement in this process. Every time we come on the air, please hit like and subscribe on YouTube, which is A.LawfulTruth Enterprises 312. You'll see it, or you can do it on Facebook, Divine Mother Diva, and you can subscribe on Substack. It's $8 a month, $80 a year. My grandchildren have been calling me. This one's calling me. My doctor's office. Everybody's calling me. And I am just like, this show was just too good. Now, as many of you are aware, State Senator Sharif Street was a no-show again. This is my final time. I'm done. Like I said it before, but like we've done it. We've gone through the proper channels. We've done all the things that we needed to do. And I am not about forcing anyone to have a conversation. I think by the time they realize how valuable this platform is and has been, you know, we're there. Andrea says, fantastic show, Mother. Awesome show. Thank you all so much. Please hit like whatever platform you're on. Please hit like. I can see you all. Here's a good bunch of you, but you're on several platforms. Alexandra says, baby, who needs coffee after this show? I don't. That's wonderful. Marguerite is saying thank you to Mr. Krasner. Sharon Wright says AARP offers sessions to learn how to prevent scammers. The problem with that, Sharon A. Wright, is that the scammers have gotten more and more creative over time. Just more and more creative over time. So they're my grandchildren. I got to get off the air. You hear them? Shh. Hold on. Grandma's getting off the air, okay? This is the second time they've called, so I've got to get off the air now. Excellent show, great dialogue. Thank you all so much. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Laura says, these shows have been fire since you came back. I appreciate all of you. There's over 300 comments on this show alone. And so, we love you too, G. Lamar. We love you. Thank you so much. All right, y'all. It is Friday. I will not be on Monday because it's the holiday weekend. And I'm taking my Monday off like everybody else. I'll probably go see, copy, paste, and repeat. This episode of Mornings with Mother is officially over. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you